Hey, what's up guys? I'm Jeremy with Stevens Detailing and Shine Supply, and I'm excited to introduce our new Relock Express Ceramic Coating. So what is Relock Express Ceramic Coating? Why did we make this product? Why do we call it Express? What's the difference between this and like our Beadlock Pro and our Beadlock Marine, which are professional grade coatings? So one thing I noticed is that there is a need in the industry among people that are wanting their car coated to have a product that they can put on their car without requiring all the polishing that is needed to put on a pro long-term coating. Like most professional coatings are lasting in the terms of years. So you don't want to put a long-term coating that's going to last years over a bunch of swirls and light defects in your paint. So Relock Express Ceramic Coating is a great fit for somebody that does not want to spend the money or take the time themselves to do all the paint correction required prior to applying a professional ceramic coating. This is your fit right here. Okay, if you're on the go, if you take your vehicle off-road, if it's just simply not in the budget, if you have to run through a car wash here and there, but you do want ceramic base protection, Relock is your fit. Okay, so I want to talk about, if you're a professional detailer, how is this going to fit into your lineup? Okay, most of us as professional detailers, let's say us here at Stevens Detailing, my detailing shop here, we have what's called a level 1 service. It's an express style detail. All we're doing is washing the vehicle, decontaminating the paint, and we're applying one step of protection. We're not doing any polishing. So prior to launching this, we were typically using something like a traditional carnauba wax or a paint sealant. Well, now we are going to change that service and be applying Relock now in place of a carnauba wax or a paint sealant. Being that this is a nice one-year coating, it's not a long-term coating, so people that are not worried about the aesthetics, the light swirls, and some of those things, and they want a more budget-friendly detail, our level 1 detail with Relock is going to be the fit. So that's where it would fit into your lineup as a professional detailer. So let's say you're an enthusiast and you're like, well, could I apply this myself? Is it difficult? Do I need to do any polishing? No. You need to wash the vehicle, you need to decontaminate the paint, and then you can apply Relock yourself. You can do it in your driveway, you can do it in your garage. We've tested this in direct sun. Obviously not sun where the panel is so hot you cannot keep your hand on it. But if you have some partial sun or direct sun and it's a proper time of year and the paint is not too hot to touch, you can apply Relock in the sun. I know that's going to be a big home run for some of you guys out there that offer mobile detailing services. So let's get into how we apply Relock. We got this cool bag it comes in. Almost looks like we started a coffee brand. Inside the bag, you're gonna have a 4-ounce bottle, which ends up being 118 mils. It's got the sprayer that I've already put in, the nice fine mist sprayer. We got what we call the saver applicator and an instruction card breaking down what it is along with some directions. Okay, so what's cool about the saver applicator is that this has a barrier in the middle of the applicator where when you're spraying product on, it's not going to seep all the way into the bottom side of the applicator. Helps save product, keeps the product on the surface rather than soaking into the sponge. So we want to give this a little shake up. We're going to come back here on this rear quarter panel. This does have a locking mechanism. We want to slide this over and down. That will be our unlock position. We want to hold this away from the vehicle. We don't want to stand right next to the vehicle and spray this, being that this is still a true solvent-based ceramic coating. It's just a less concentrated version of a professional coating. We don't want to spray it right next to the vehicle, have some of the airborne particles go on another part of the panel, and then they'll start to set up. We could have some weird spotting, later on in the job. So we want to hold it away from the vehicle, Being that my applicator is dry, has no product on it, I want to give it a good initial load up so I do not have dry applicator on my dry paint. A cool thing about Relock is that you can put it on the trim, you can put it on the tail lights. Obviously I'm going to put it on the paint. I can go over the glass with this. So this is such a great coating because you can hit all surfaces. So you don't have to be careful of not getting it on this trim. Okay, so when I apply coating, and this is the same for even a professional coating, I want to start on my edges and then box in the area. So I'm going to cut in my edges first, and then I'm going to come through the middle. Now when I apply this, I'm not doing any hard rubbing, no circular motion. All I'm doing is laying the product down on the surface. Okay, so I'm going to find my edge right here. I'm going to do this entire fender. So I'm going to start right here. And I'll just do half of it to start with. I'll box it in. You see I'm just laying the product down on the surface. Come all the way down. Okay, so now I've outlined the area that I'm going to coat. 2 more spritzes. Now I'm going to come through and just lay it down in the middle. So I'm not pushing hard. Again, no hard rubbing. You see I'm just laying the product down on the surface. Basically the weight of my hand. If you can see how it's starting to rainbow up, that's what you're always going to see with a pro coating, because what's happening is the ceramic material is bonding to the paint and the solvent is flashing off. And when we take our leveling towels, which are over there on the cart, all we're doing is removing this carrier solvent that is allowing the ceramic material to bond to the paint. See the heavy rainbowing that's starting? Now there's something that we call flash time with coatings. Flash time is the amount of time from when you've laid the product down on the finish to when it's ready to be leveled off with the towels. Now, unlike a wax or sealant, when you remove this, you're not coming through. This is not Mr. Miyagi, okay? This ain't Karate Kid. We're leveling off coating. We're very gentle with the process. It's nice, straight, back and forth motion. All we're trying to do is just lift that solvent off and leave maximum amount of the ceramic material on the surface. Beautiful thing about Relock, has a very long flash time. Couple comments on flash time. It's dependent on humidity and outside temperature. Okay, so the hotter it is outside, or if I was in the sun, it's gonna set up a lot faster. I might have, less than a minute. Okay, if you live down south, Alabama, midsummer, your flash time might be around 30, 45 seconds. That's something that you need to do a small area initially with, and then test it. Apply it to a small area, watch it really start to rainbow up. Once this rainbow oil slick look is very apparent, you can take your takeoff towel. This is how you can really test that it's ready. I'll come through, give it a little swipe. If it swipes clear, there's no real tacky feel, then I know it's ready to completely be removed. Awesome thing about Relock is, unlike a professional coating, there's really no stress if you left it on like a minute too long. It's not going to bond up and lock down as hard as a professional coating. Meaning, if you leave a professional coating on too long before you go and wipe off with your leveling towel, you could be in a lot of trouble. You could have some streaking and just some stuff that you're gonna have to go and repolish back off and start over again. Okay, where Relock is very forgiving in this time frame it has to set up. So I'm gonna keep going, and we're gonna coat this entire fender before we even level off that back section. I'm going right over the trim. Okay, I'm gonna box it in. Nice overlapping passes. Okay, so I have this entire fender coated. Let's go over a couple of your options with towels. If you're like, hey, what towel should I use to level it off with? If you use cheap, low-grade microfiber towels, you run a huge risk of, when you're leveling this off your paint, leaving little micro scratches, okay? If you want to use these big box store microfiber towels, just understand that you run the risk of leaving a little bit of micro marring from that towel. Now, being that you don't really care about the polishing anyways, you're just trying to get the protection aspect, to each his own. Okay, when we apply Relock here at the shop, we're gonna use a higher end towel because we don't want to put anything more into the paint during our process than is already in the paint. We're not trying to add any more defects, okay? We're trying to do it the safe as possible. So, let me show you these. These are our edgeless. Same exact towel, we just have a white and a black. This is what we use to remove our pro grade coatings. We come through with an initial towel and then we use a second towel to kind of clean up the leftover. Another option we have on our website is what's called the coating leveling towel. It's numbered, has 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. On the other side, you have 8 clean sections you can deal with when coating. This is not a rough material, it's just dyed in there, so it's extremely soft. Relock is so easy to level, you could almost level it with one towel, meaning not having to go back with a second towel and go over that section. I still recommend using 2 towels. You don't want to potentially leave any area for what we call a high spot. A high spot is an area where you accidentally don't level the coating off properly with your leveling towel, and you have a little bit of this rainbow kind of oil slick look in maybe a corner where you didn't properly run over with your towel. We call that a high spot. Okay, so let's take this white towel. Once again, let's start on the edges, okay, and box it in. I'll do half of the fender. Now I'd say, because I've been talking, this has probably been a good few minutes. So when I'm leveling it off, I can feel a little bit of grab between my towel and the surface, and that's the coating starting to tack up, which is a good thing. That means it's really bonded to the paint. If you come through and start leveling off the Relock, and it's smearing really bad on you, that just means it's not dry. So you need to give it a little bit more time to set up. So I'm gonna take the second towel, go over that area, and then you just want to give it a look over and just make sure there's not any areas where you have left some coating behind before you move on. I'm gonna switch back to my white towel, move into this section. If you're home doing this, or even if you're a professional, don't take your leveling towel and set it somewhere on the vehicle, because this has some coating residue on it. What you're gonna do is you're gonna leave a little bit of coating high spot on that area where you set your towel. So make sure you have a little card or something that you can set it on. Okay, now I'm grabbing that second towel. One thing I like to do too, I've actually painted my fenders on this truck. A typical GMC Denali would have plastic trim right here. But if you do have painted trim and you've coated this, come back through at the very end, tuck your towel in that crease and just run that little line to make sure you get any coating out of that little crease that's been pushed in there. Okay, so once you're done with a section, whether it's 2 doors, a big fender, the front end, once you're done leveling, just give it a quick look over and make sure there's no darker areas where potentially you haven't leveled it off properly. That's really one of the most important things about applying and removing coating. The applying is super easy. It's the leveling where people can get into trouble if they don't properly level it off and leave an area that didn't get thoroughly wiped. That's just what could cause you to have to go back to that area with a little bit of polish and rub that area out and start over again, okay? And that said, if you ever had a high spot after putting on Relock, you could take something like our slick back primer polish on a little hand applicator, couple dots, and just lightly rub that area. It will quickly remove that high spot, the coating residue, and then you can just reapply your Relock. Super simple. Let's also go over the glass. It'll be the same exact method. Couple spritzes on the glass or on the applicator. Box in the edge of the glass. A very easy way to coat your glass. This is also another great visual. We can really see the rainbowing start to develop on the glass, which is what's happening on the paint. Let's say you're an enthusiast and you have a light color vehicle and you're like, hey Jeremy, I can't really see the rainbowing. How do I know when to wipe off? That's when you need to apply to a decent sized section, being like a whole fender or 2 doors. Grab your leveling towels, give it at least a minute, take that corner of your towel and just wipe a slight section and see if it's what I call breaking clear, meaning it's not just smearing. If it's breaking clear, go ahead and level it off. If it's smearing really bad, step back, give it a few more seconds, because on lighter color cards, you're not gonna see that drastic rainbowing, so you have to use that method to know when it's ready to level off. Now I'm taking my pointer finger, shoving it into the corners of the glass, really making sure I'm getting that coating out of my corners, and then open my hand back up, flat palm it, and wipe the remaining part of the glass. When you do your glass, it seems to set up a lot faster on glass. I would just do 1 window at a time. Check that out. Okay, so as I stated, you can coat your trim with the Relock. I like to do this at the end. I have just applied coating to this trim, and look, it's pulling up a little bit of black, because again, this is a professional style coating, being that it is solvent based. So it's going to pull up a little bit of the black on my bed cover right here. See this rubber piece right here? It's pulling up a little of that black. So you would not want to have any kind of residue from your trim on your applicator and then go back into your paint. Let's go over some of the benefits of ceramic coating. If you're somebody that is still unsure on like, hey, what's ceramic coating? Why would I use that over traditional wax? To simplify it, a wax and a paint sealant is still just putting a film on your finish. It's a transparent film. You apply it, it hazes up. As you guys have all seen, anyone that has waxed or sealed anything, it hazes up and you come through and just wipe off that haze. That's leaving behind just a transparent film that every time you wash your vehicle, it breaks down a little bit. Every time your vehicle is exposed to UV out in the sun, that layer of protection is breaking down little by little. The difference between ceramic coating is that ceramic coating is actually putting a hard sacrificial barrier on top of your paint. So it's not breaking down with each wash, it's actually setting up hard, almost like a glass type. That's why it's referred to as ceramic. So without getting all technical and scientific and confusing you guys, that's some very simple explanation of what ceramic is doing. You can just picture it laying down a thin, hard layer on top of your clear coat that's gonna help take some of the abuse from the elements. It's not breaking down with each wash. It's staying glossier longer. It's easier to clean. When you wash your vehicle, it's super hydrophobic, meaning the water just beads up and flies off the finish. So you're getting a lot of benefits that you don't get with a traditional wax or a paint sealant. Relock being all those benefits of a pro coating, but just for a shorter term, because it's a less concentrated version of our professional coatings. So you can grab this product, Relock Express Ceramic Coating, on our website at shinesupply.com. Hope you enjoyed the video.